welcome to Healing Millions podcast. Today, I have something very special for you. I have amazing community of healers doing amazing work in this world. Oh my God, when you meet these people, you will love them. Every single one of them has a special skills, the special unique talents, and they're doing so much good for this world. So I want to introduce you my Healing Millions membership community. I want to introduce you amazing Dr. Beverly, who is abundance and happiness coach. Hello, Dr. Beverly. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. So good to be here. I'm so excited for this.
Thank you so much for being here. I have also amazing Yole Berlage Uccelletti, who is helping sensitive people find the true soul purpose and also step into place of happiness and joy and enjoy life even more and step out of their comfort zone so they can serve the world and have a better life. Yola, welcome. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Isabel, I want to really introduce you an amazing person, Isabel from Bottisha, who is a great healer, life coach, helping mompreneurs have more energy, feel better in their skin, and, also do the things they love. And, if you're a caretaker, if you have a family, and if you're losing yourself in all chores that you have to do, you will love Isabel. Isabel, welcome to Healing Millions podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me here today.
Thank you so much for being here. And my next guest is an amazing healer. She is a beautiful soul. She has a voice of angel. If you listen to her meditations, you will love her. She is amazing, Anna Pascianti from the United States. She is a Reiki healer. She also does different healing modalities, and she's a beautiful meditation teacher. And welcome to Healing Millions podcast.
Thank you. So wonderful to be here with all you beautiful healers. I'm just so happy to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. So I would love to start with you, Isabel. You had a different career than you have right now. You were vice president of the big company, and now you're helping mompreneurs have more energy, be happier, enjoy their life, feel good in their skin. So how did that happen? And tell us more about that.
Well, that shift from my former career to what I'm doing now happened obviously because I had some limitations where I was before as a vice president in leadership development in a big corporate world in big cities, and being much under pressure also because of course next to my job I had my personal life, which was being a mom and a wife and taking care of all of that and always wanting to show up for the other ones and doing your best and giving your best all the time just at one point didn't work for me anymore. And so I stepped away from the corporate world to heal what needed to be healed within me and to like heal my burnout, to heal my overwhelmed being, to just finding what is good for me. And so it took a couple of years and stepping from one career to the next and exploring what is good for me, what can I do so that I heal, I still can work. And by that, I discovered my healing gifts and offered that now to my clients to be able to find their ways of what makes them really happy and in their personal lives and in their careers, so that you don't have to live in this in between, like work-life balance, either or, trying to be good in your job by every now and then doing something good for you. I was like, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. For me, work-life balance means you're constantly good and working and it's good for you. So that's what it should be.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that story. It's a beautiful story of transition and doing things you love. Dr. Beverly, you were former teacher in the lowest paid states in the country, and something very important shifted in your life. Can you tell us more about your life and how you became an abundance coach?
Yes, thank you. That's a great question. I was still teaching when everything happened for me. I had read a little bit about, manifesting decades ago, but didn't really use it. And all of a sudden, I discovered I had been defrauded of about $100,000, or turned out to be closer to two. And someone said the same thing I had said 1,000 times. I can't afford it because I'm just a teacher. And I went, something in my head went, why? 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 I'm smart. I'm capable. Why? And I didn't want to burn out. I loved my students, but I knew that when I looked at my accounts that night, my retirement accounts, I was like, I can't do this. I have to do something else, but I'm too close. I mean, everything was spinning with how am I going to ever recoup from what I just lost, as well as, have a life. And so I dove into money mindset myself. Just you started out with, I'm never going to say I can't afford. I'm never going to say I'm broke again. And then it snowballed from there. And in fewer than 6 years, I 10x'd my savings more than. And my financial advisor had told me it would take 10 to 12 years. Did it in 6 because I told him, you got 6 years. I'm doing this in 6 years. That's period. That's it. And so I know I manifested all of that. And during that time, I also started to realize that there was something more than just the money. I mean, I traveled more during those 6 years than I had the 20 years before. I still went out to dinner with friends. I did not get a second job. I didn't have an extra income, and I still managed to do that. Because once I aligned with what money meant to me, everything changed. Everything changed. And I didn't have to try. I didn't budget. I don't like budgets. And so I did that. But I also realized as I got toward the end of that 6 years, that I had said I have to have this amount of money in 6 years, I realized that even though I was making it and I was still doing things, something was missing. I was still angry about the betrayal. I was still having a lot of anger. So I went through a lot of healing processes myself with releasing all of that. I can now talk about that fraud and the person who did it without any anger, no emotional attachment to it anymore, because that was driving so much and not all in a good way. I mean, it was the impetus, I admit that, but it was not driving me in a happy, healthy way. And now it is. And that's how I started, by sharing it with colleagues and even students, 17-year-olds who found success with what I shared with them. And if they can do it, anybody can do it.
Thank you so much. I know if a teenager who just have a 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, if they can do it, like everybody else can do it. If you really dedicate yourself to do and change something in your life,
Right.
you can definitely do that. Thank you so much for sharing. Yole, you have very unique story. You always knew actually that you wanted to be a therapist. You did like music therapy. But, I just want to know, was this always the dream, or I just have a perception that you always knew what you want to do and you always wanted to help people? And tell us more about your journey.
Yeah, thank you, Nina. Yes, I always wanted to help people, which I think is a trait most highly sensitive people have, or probably all of them. But no, I didn't always think that I wanted to be a therapist. I wanted to be a singer, which I actually am, but I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to be a biologist, and I actually went to Africa to find out whether that suited me or not. And I studied also anthropology, so I did a lot of other things. And in the end, I became a mom. And just like Isabel, found out that that is a full-time job. And it is very difficult, for me, it was very difficult to have a part-time job because we kept moving. But anyway, after about 15 years ago, my life changed drastically because my husband had very, very big financial problems. And I found myself in a situation where I needed to take care financially of my children, myself, and my husband. And so I needed to sort of kickstart something. And that's where I said, okay, biology and music and anthropology, music therapy. That seemed to be, the common denominator. And that's how it started, sort of my therapist journey started. And I've been hooked ever since in supporting people in the fastest possible way, because I want to add that I'm so frustrated with the therapy world out there. Things just take too long, and the methods as a whole are far too old. But we can go into that if we want to later. So that's me.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you. And you also have a unique journey. You were a professor at university. You were translating scientific documents. You were more like scientist, and now you're an energy healer, meditation coach. Tell us more about that.
I always wanted to be an artist when I was little, and yet I learned from life pretty fast that you had to get a practical job, you got to make ends meet, you got to provide for yourself, and you got to just be so-so in the mundane world, you got to survive. And so I put all that away and went through academia, started in neuroscience, changed to philosophy and then to foreign languages. And that was great until I got out and I was just sitting in front of the computer, unhappy. I had a relationship that was making me miserable. Everything was collapsing around me. I had nothing left. I left the country, I left the boyfriend, I left everything I had, all my stuff, everything. And so I came home, I was like, I have nothing. I have nothing left to hang on to. And I said, what do I really want? And for the first time, I truly answered that question and I took action on it, which at the time was to go to Istanbul and start studying what consciousness is. I went to Istanbul. I had some spiritual awakenings and some amazing meditation experiences. And I started the life of a digital nomad, doing my academic work on the computer while basically taking pilgrimage after pilgrimage. I made them pilgrimages. They were just traveling around the world with my little laptop. But it was over a decade of spiritual expansion and freedom and empowerment that finally I have embodied now. And I can give that to the people that I help, because this sense of freedom and empowerment and exploration of the inner and outer realms is what drives me and what makes me create these meditations and these courses and just these experiences that I want to give people. And so that is what I put into everything. And I had to do that by asking myself, what do I really want? And acting on it.
Thank you so much for sharing. So every single one of you said something that is really, really important, that healing played such a significant role in discovering what you want to do and how to find your purpose. So Isabel, I really want to know your healing story, like how healing played such a significant role in your life. And you also mentioned you had to heal your burnout. And tell us more about that.
Yeah, so remember I told you that I was working in a big corporate world, and the company like over 120,000 employees, and I was the vice president for talent management and leadership development. And I loved that job. It was amazing. But I was constantly, as I said earlier, giving everything to everybody and putting everybody else first, not just my colleagues and my boss and all the employees I was working for, but also at home, my son, my partner, my friends. And so I had a chronic disease since birth, which is eczema on the skin. And by not listening to me and not putting me first, this just showed up. So my body was clearly telling me, I'm not good. Take care of me, please. I was ignoring it. So that's when the burnout came on top. And I just at one point couldn't ignore it because I was literally not being able to get up in the morning anymore and do my job well. And so I had this external business partner who went for a business lunch with me, and he just saw me and said, like, Isa, you are not well. What's going on? And so I really broke down there in front of him in this restaurant with all these business people having lunch. And I felt so miserable. But what it did, it was like for the first time, I acknowledged that I am not good and that I have to change something, because I was about to waste not just my career, but also my life. I was wasting being a good mom. And that was for me so important to be a good mom. And so I all of a sudden realized that by putting myself first, which means healing whatever is broken or is not well within, that's the only way how I can show up and be there for the others. Because how can I be a good mom? How can I be a good boss? How can I develop all these amazing leadership programs for these people if I am not good? This just doesn't make sense anymore. So for the first time, I not just intellectually, but physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually understood what that really means to put myself first. And that's when I think my healing journey really started, because I did already meditate and I did go yoga and I had my healthy juices. every day, but it was more like to really practice it 24/7, putting myself first. So there was a whole journey of then, first of all, stepping away from that job, getting also the confidence in oneself again to apply for a job that I really want and that is more giving me satisfaction intellectually, emotionally, again, on all the levels. And just, yeah, I think Anna said it beautifully, like taking the action towards your goal and not just like having it as a mind movie going on and like, oh yeah, this is what I should do and it's good for me, but really taking the actions, getting out of the comfort zone, because I realized you cannot grow if you stay inside the comfort zone. Everything is always neat and nice, but happiness is outside of that. And then growing means learning, means going through your fears, because yes, that is sometimes scary and that's okay. And it's okay to go through fears to find out what really is good for you, because you get the, how do you call this? Immediate benefits if you just go your way, even though it's super scary, but it feels right away the right thing. And that's what I call alignment. If you feel it on body, mind, heart, and soul level that something is right, then you just know that's the good thing.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, you're so right. We very often we neglect ourselves unto the point we cannot do it anymore, and like until we break and start crying and reach rock bottom, and then we take action. But yeah, I love what you mentioned here, that we need to put ourselves first and start working ourselves to find that true joy and true happiness. And the moment we realign with our soul purpose, everything changes and life becomes so much easier and enjoyable. Yole, I would love to know what parts of you needed to heal to be able to show up for your clients.
Yeah, so the first thing I needed to understand was that being different was okay. And for a long time, I didn't know, I just knew that I was different, but I couldn't actually understand what that meant. And it had meant pain most of my life. And through my son, I actually, heard about high potential people because he was diagnosed as a high potential child. And the therapist looked at me, and she said, don't you think that your child is different? And I was like, no, I think he's perfectly normal. And she started laughing and she said, no, he's not. He's very, very gifted. And if you think that's normal, maybe you should rethink, how you think about yourself. And that was the first wake up call. And the second wake up call for my healing was a friend that gave me Elaine Aron's book about high sensitivity. And, when I read that book, I think out of 100 things, I checked 98. And I was like, and it just gave me, for the first time in my life, I had guidance in a positive way about my being different. And the next step was that I understood that most of my clients were either one or the other or the combination. And then the scientist in me stepped in and said, right, I want to empower these people. I want to empower myself. I want to learn about my talents and about my gifts and make them available to the world and help others to do that. And by healing myself and by studying and I'm just very curious, I just found more and more and more potential in that trait rather than problems. And that was my healing path, basically.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, Uh, Dr. Beverly, I would love to know what stories that you told yourself you needed to let go of, and what part of you needed to heal. You mentioned that you needed to heal your money stories. So, how was your healing process to discover your true calling?
Well, it was curvy and wibbly wobbly. It definitely was not a straight line. I mean, like I said, I started with something simple. I'm never saying I'm broke again. I'm never saying I can't afford. It was very simple. And at the end of the pay period, a little bit of money left over, which was highly unusual. And so I started thinking there must be something to this. I just did this. There must be something I can find. And so I dove into finding everything I could read about manifesting, which, like I said, I had read about 20 years before. And in doing that, I discovered that's when I discovered how things stay in your body. Things that have happened when you were a baby, when you were in utero even, and before, that they stay in your body and they create these things. And I realized that was probably why I had a thyroid issue, because I had never said things that I wanted to say. I had been told as a child, be logical, when I was like 6. And every child at 6 is very intuitive. They haven't lost it yet. And it was forced out of me. And I realized that was what caused that. I also had a major eczema skin issue happen in my last little bit of teaching. And I think it's because I stayed a little bit longer than I wanted to, because I'd gotten a grant for the library I was working in. And I went through trying to heal that through traditional medicine, through allergy shots. I went through changing my diet. It was still happening. And so someone did emotion code on me, and I was like, this is cool. I mean, I felt changes. So I went into that and I started doing that on myself, released a lot, and started diving into other modalities with massive energy healing. And I just started feeling, I mean, I would have a session, it would be like, I just felt lighter. I never could figure out what it was, in the beginning. I was just like, this is cool. It feels lighter. And then the next day, fascinating things would happen. Money would show up unexpectedly. And that's when I also started, at the same time that was happening, I was like looking back, because, like I said, I discovered at this point, everything stays in your body, everything. And so I started going back and saying, okay, what fears have I had about money? What things have I been told about money? One, silly as this sounds, my father told me when I was 5 that money burned a hole in my pocket. And I spent about 4 decades proving him right. And once I realized it, and I let go of it, because, as a 5-year-old, I was like, well, my daddy's always right. Daddy's always right. So I had to prove it. And once I was able to let go of that and realize that he didn't mean it's supposed to, and I let it go and I laughed about it, suddenly I started not spending everything I had. I mean, I could have $20 in my wallet and it would last for 3 weeks suddenly, because I didn't just go out and blow it on something. And that was just kind of the first thing that I really realized, that I recognized. And from that point on, it just started to fall out of me, all these things that had happened throughout my life, and even my father's life and my mother's life. And the stories I heard from them that I didn't experience, but I experienced through their stories. And as I started to clear those through energy healing, as well as through journaling, everything just changed over and over and over. New things changed.
Yeah,
And I keep doing
thank you so much for sharing. I think that's really important what you said, that we all keep our stories in our body. Our body remembers everything. And, sometimes we really need to dig deeper to understand why we behave the way we behave. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I would love to know what part of you needed to heal to step fully into your soul purpose.
It was a lot of emotional processing. Like Dr. Beverly said, processing the emotions stuck in the body. I had so many. Sometimes after really emotional processing, a big session, maybe some kind of soul retrieval, I would notice that I was more flexible. My body actually moved in ways it didn't used to. I mean, the effects, I always could feel them in the body. I'm also a highly sensitive person, as Yola was describing. And yes, it's very difficult to be like that. I think all of us are quite high on the spectrum, but being able to feel in the body is so helpful, because you can feel when the energies are moving and being cleared and being stuck. And so not only emotional processing, but also a lot of mental deprogramming. And that happened not only consciously, but also without me even thinking about it. The first time was when I was living in a different country and I needed a doctor, and I didn't know where to find one. And doing a little bit of research, I realized, oh, maybe I can heal myself. Maybe I just experiment on myself and try different things around the house, and it actually worked. And so that was just the beginning. But it's emotional processing, mental deprogramming, and also listening to the universe, learning to recognize the signs. So I had more than a decade of difficult processing, as we all do, a lot of emotional ups and downs. getting trained and certified in things just so I could do them on myself. And it took a while, but in the end, it was so worth it. And yeah, it's always worth it, no matter the pain of going through it. If whenever you make the change between repressing and pushing things away, and then you start welcoming them and integrating them and processing them, it's life-changing. Yeah, that's at least 90% of why I'm here today.
Thank you so much for sharing. That's a beautiful story. Yeah, I love what you shared that we can heal ourselves. This is what I also was questioning while I was like going through healing process. I remember the days when I was a kid and didn't want to go to school. I would get the worst fever. They would send me home. Then I realized if I can make myself sick, I can make myself healthy. So let's find the way how to do it. Thank you so much for sharing. Isabel, I really wanted to know, now you're living your soul purpose, you're enjoying your life, but what is one belief you needed to let go of to become a person you are today?
I have to start a little bit going back because it has very much to do with where I come from. So now I work as a healer, and I come from a family of 7 generations of healers, but like modern doctors, like my dad, my sister, my brother, grandfather, great grandfather, on all sides of my family. Everybody is a doctor. And me, when I was a little girl, I always wanted to be a nurse. But then when it came to deciding what profession to choose, I felt not safe in going into that direction. And I felt like, no, that's not me. I'm not a healer. So I did everything else, right? So I did business studies and turned out to become a vice president in leadership development and having my master's in business administration. But underneath, obviously, my calling was still there. And so when I started to listen to that, that made me ending up and living between my 2 home countries, which are Germany and Haiti, and actually healing people. But the belief that held me back for a very long time is that what I am doing is not healing. Because my dad always, as a surgeon, was telling me, if you cannot cut it away, it's not a disease. So like all these doctors that are not surgeons are not doctors. And I was not having the self-confidence to see that what I'm doing is helping people in a way that they might not even need surgery because we prevent them to even get in such a bad state of needing surgery. So the belief I really had to overcome is like, I'm not good enough, or what I'm doing is not healing, because it is. So I saw it on myself, like Anna also said, or like, yeah, all here, like we tried these things that we share with the world on ourselves first. And we have our own journey, and then we share our journey with others, and we see it works. So it might not be like what the modern world sees as scientifically proven, but for me, it's enough if I see that it works. And if I empower others doing that, it's empowering, or I say like I help the self-healing powers in others to grow. So this is an amazing work. And if it worked first for me and then in others, that's what helped me overcoming this limiting belief of thinking like I cannot do this.
I want to go back to Yola because Yola, you share something that is really, really important. That there was a moment when you discovered that you're a highly sensitive person.
Mm-hmm.
What is one belief you needed to embrace about yourself to step fully into your soul purpose and be that sensitive person in the world and show people this is who I am, this is what I do? What was one belief you needed to adopt to become person who you are today?
I think the most important one was that I'm lovable the way I am, because I had experienced so much rejection in my life from my family, from peers, from husbands. And I think that was a huge step for me. And the other one was to know that I'm a powerful individual. And one of the first steps in that was actually when I was 21, I started martial arts, because I had this artistic side and then I had this sensitive side, and I was just fed up with people telling me that I was weak. So for years, I trained really, really hard, Yeah, I trained with Japanese sensei in London. So in order also to prove myself, also on a physical level, I can't remember which of the beautiful ladies said that, but this sense in myself that I'm not weak, that I have a presence and that I'm a powerful being, but also have a powerful body, that was very important for me.
Thank you so much for sharing. I know that we both had an interview few days ago, and you shared that this is the message you want to share with the world, that sensitive people are not weak. And they have very special powers, and they are the future leaders. And you're writing the book about that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Dr. Beverly, what is one thing that surprised you on this path to discover who you really are?
Just one. Let me limit that. I think what surprised me the most was discovering how much or how many emotions I had stored in my body. Because like I said, I didn't grow up thinking that. I didn't grow up knowing all about that. So to find out how much was there that wasn't even mine, the beliefs that weren't my beliefs, that if you asked me, I would consciously say, no, I don't believe that. But subconsciously, they were there because I'd heard them so much. I'd made jokes about them. I'd been told it. And all of that stuff was trapped. And once I started releasing it, it was amazing how quickly, that was the other thing, how quickly things changed. So I would say that's the biggest thing. And one of the major things was what all was trapped. And then I keep finding and keep releasing, and things keep changing. And it's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Sometimes people think that healing is so hard, they don't want to even try that, because we heard that from society. People are telling us it's so hard, don't do it. But the truth is, it's easier than we think. It is not easy, but it's easier than we think. And things can happen much faster if we allow ourselves to experience it, if we choose to do it. That's also very important. And I would love to know, what is one thing you learned about yourself on this path to discover your soul calling?
Well, it is that I can do anything. Everything we learn in society tells us the opposite, really. There's always an authority we need to obey and listen to and believe what they say. And it took decades to get out of that. And I'm so glad I did, because when Yola was describing her martial arts training, I remembered that when I started rock climbing, it was the same thing. I was high up on a wall, and there was no way physically I could grab the rock that I needed to avoid falling down. And I was just like, "There's no way." Like, my arm, like, literally doesn't reach that far. And I said, "Well," contrary to how I used to be, I said, "Well, I'm gonna get it because I'm not gonna fall." And so I made a leap of at least, I don't know, at least this much farther than my body could physically do. I grabbed the rock because I mentally decided I was going to do it, and it worked. And I was completely changed after that. That was a crucial moment. Empowerment.
I love what you said. When we believe we can do it, we definitely can do it, but we need to choose to do it. That's a really powerful message, what you said. Isabel, for somebody who is looking for their soul purpose and they are really not sure if they found it or not, or is this the real path? Is this their real calling? What advice would you give to those people?
Well, first of all, I think they are already on the right path if they ask themselves this question, because very often people who are lost, who don't know what their purpose is, they don't ask themselves even, what is my purpose? They just do. They are continuously in this automatic life, in this remote functioning work, life. So I think best thing to do is to follow your heart, follow doing what you somehow feel inside is what brings you joy, and continue doing these things, and surround yourself with people who who are supporting whatever it is that you want to do. Surround yourself with people that don't see limits everywhere, but they see possibilities and opportunities. And then you start seeing them as well in yourself and exploring. And also the thing is, like, maybe it's not something that unfolds on one day and in one action. It is something, maybe it's also a journey to live a purposeful life, or to finding your purpose. It's not just like one day you wake up and like, oh, there's my purpose and this is what I'm doing. It's more like continuously living what you like to do, what you feel brings you pleasure, brings you energy, and from there you share the energy. This is the purpose. This is what you are meant to do, and just continuously doing this. And that might mean also that it's changing. It's not necessarily the same to do it always the same things. So it's just following what makes you happy, what gives you energy and joy, and sharing that.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I think the biggest aha moment for me was when I realized if I enjoy it, if I have fun and love doing it, I'm living my soul purpose. And that's the first thing. That was the first sign for me that I'm doing things that I love, that I'm born to do. And for people who are looking for their soul path, finding their soul purpose, what would you say to them?
Finding their soul purpose is kind of like Isabel said, it doesn't have to be a one moment type of thing. It can be just a lifelong process, but definitely it's ask yourself what you truly want. Not in the way, oh, I wish I could, if I could do anything in life, I wish I could do this, but it's not possible. Just leave it all behind and just say, what would I really love to do? What would make me super happy? And then the second thing, of course, is to go out and take action and do it. I know it's not easy, but part of that is leaving the situations that don't work for you, leaving them earlier rather than later. Don't stay in those bad, unsupportive situations longer than necessary. I would say those two things. And then, of course, it's not only what's coming out of you, but also how the universe is supporting you. So it's listening to those from the universe, from source, from life, that show you what's not working. And when you get a sign something's not working, there's a gift in that. You say, okay, well, I'm unhappy now because it's not working. But the gift is, what's the better way? Let's find that better way.
I love that. I love that. It's not that, it's not working. You're just going to be redirected to what is working for you and what is your soul path. I love that. Yole, I would love to know your thoughts on this. You're helping people step into their soul purpose and find a true calling. What is the advice you would give to them for people who are thinking, oh my God, how can I find this life purpose I'm searching for?
Well, I think similarly to Anna, I think is we can't go and chase our life purpose. I think it is something that needs introspection, and it needs patience and time. And maybe I can explain that, in my own life path. So like I said, I wanted to be a singer, and I wanted to always, always bring beauty and power to the world. And at the beginning, I thought, because I had this, big voice and this desire to be on stage, I want to be an opera singer. Okay. And I desperately wanted to be that. And I had every possibility to do that. And later, things happened and it didn't work out for various reasons. And then I understood, yes, it is about my voice and it's about being on stage, but in a completely different context. But if you had asked me, I could not have come up with the work I'm doing now because I just didn't, it was not on my radar, right? But still, what I call the fundamentals, and that's what I do when I work with people. What are your fundamentals? What is it that is really important to you to bring to this world? What are the core beliefs that you have about what you want to contribute? And then to find out where are the doors opening? Where are the options? How can you develop your potential? What's in synchronicity with yourself and the place you are right now in your life? And that to me is a much more elegant way of doing it rather than forcing life into some sort of belief that you have in terms of, that must be my sole purpose. Because I think, as Anna said, we all grow up in an environment where that is not nourished. We are not being taught to listen to ourselves. We are not taught to love our talents. We're not taught to listen to source, to just patiently listen before we act. And I think that's one of the things I do with people I work with. I'm to empower them to use their talents in a completely different way than we are being told to do usually.
Thank you so much. I love that. Like, find what brings you joy and find the opportunity how you can express yourself. Maybe it's not what you thought it's going to be. Maybe it's something better, and be open to that. I really, really love how you said that. Dr. Beverly, you spent many, many years teaching young teenagers, like young people, like teenager kids, all kind of people. I just want to know, for our younger audience who are listening this, what advice would you give to them how they can discover their own life purpose?
Never forget your dreams. I remember having students who would have these big dreams, especially when I taught middle school. They had these big dreams, and then I would see them later, and now they were doing what their parents wanted them to do, to go to college and get a degree in this, or to go to work in the family business, or to do whatever. And I'm like, but that's not what you wanted to do when you were in 8th grade. In 8th grade, you wanted to do. They go, yeah, well, my parents told me I can't make any money at that. I need to make money. I need to make a living. And I'm like, well, don't give it up. I mean, in some way, keep it in your life, because it's going to come back. It will come back to you later, because we are all here to be happy, to be abundant, and to find that soul purpose, to live for our soul. And when we push that away, that's when we get unhealthy. And and I would tell them, look at older people, look at them. If they're in their 70s, and I know several people in their 70s who look like they're in their hundreds, if they're looking like that, they probably did not follow their soul purpose. Ask them if they did. And then look at the 100-year-old, who's still walking around, without a cane, driving on her own, out of state, and ask her what she did. And look and see if you feel like they really exude joy, not just happiness in the moment because they got a gift or they found, $5 or $10 or someone winked at them. Not just happiness in the moment, but true happiness that you look at them and go, wow, I hope I'm like that when I get older. And find out how they did it. I can assure you, it's not just food and drink. It's not just, avoiding fast food. It's that true happiness that they followed their soul purpose.
I love that. I really, really love that. Thank you so much for sharing that message with our audience. Never forget your dreams. Dr. Beverly, you have an amazing book. It's called Get Rich on Any Salary. It's behind you. Would you mind sharing this with our audience? Can you show us the book and tell us more about the book?
Sure. It's Get Rich on Any Salary because, as you said, I was a teacher in the lowest paying district in my state, which was the lowest paying state for most of my career. And it happens to be again right now. I'm not there, thankfully. But when you're the lowest paid of 50 states and you're the lowest paid district out of 67, you start to believe all the stuff about nobody goes into teaching to get rich. And that's said about other professions too. I mean, it used to be said about the police and the firefighters and the EMTs. And when I quit believing all that and I chose to think, I'm smart, I can do this, I know about manifesting, there's abundance everywhere. And I started to believe even more about miracles are everywhere and miracles happen for me every day. I started to get rich. I am now the wealthy person my mother wanted me to marry. I mean, that's what happened. And I did it with, like I said, without getting a second job, without hustling. So I believe everybody can be wealthy. And I think one of the keys is to discover what is wealth to you. And if your answer immediately is billions of dollars, being the richest person in the world, that's not your truth. That's what somebody else is telling you. Because it doesn't take billions of dollars, 400 and something billion. It doesn't take that to have the happiest life that you can possibly imagine and more. You can do that on a whole lot less. Start smaller, because you keep that in your back of your mind. Sure, you want to be that, but you're not going to get there overnight. And that's what so many people I saw and have seen, especially in teaching, wanted. Well, if I can't have it now, it's not worth having. You can get there. You can get rich on any salary. It just may not happen by tomorrow. It might take a year or two. It might take 6 years. It might have taken me the 12 years that I was told. But since I was insistent upon it happening faster, it did. And you don't have to work yourself to the bone to do it. That's the other thing I talk about in here is you don't have to go out and get 3 jobs. Find out within yourself what wealth means to you and then achieve that. And then go further. And it is a #1 bestseller on Amazon. It's available on Amazon and Kindle too.
Perfect. Thank you. And congratulations on being #1 bestseller on Amazon. That's awesome. Congratulations. Yola, I know you're also writing a book. Can you tell us more about your book?
Sure, happy to. So I think we can all agree that the world is in a huge crisis, left, right, and center, that all the systems are in dire straits. There are huge problems. And so my book is called Navigating the Polycrisis, The Sensitive's Edge. And why do I say it's a sensitive's edge? It's because I firmly believe that highly sensitive people are the ones that are meant to show up right now. And that's why empowerment is important, because we need to learn to come out of the victim states and actually use our talents in order to be part of the solution for this polycrisis. And we have a lot of the talents that are missing in order to understand the complexity and to build community and to build new leadership styles, to build different systems. And this book is, I hope, will be a wake-up call for a lot of sensitive people to step up and learn about their talents and, show up and cooperate with other so-called neurotypical, whatever that means, with other people, because I believe that we all need to come together. But the sensitive ones are the ones that need to start to change. So that's what my book is about.
Thank you so much. I believe the world definitely needs a change as soon as possible. And I think the world needs as many people as, people who really care about this world and who are here to bring more love, more light, more positive energy, and do something good for humanity. Thank you so much for doing the work you do. And Dr. Beverly, you were the first person who joined Healing Millions membership. And I really want to know your experience in this membership, and what would you say to someone who is looking to join this membership?
Well, I didn't know I was a first. That's cool. I would say definitely go for it. I mean, I've worked with a lot of coaches. I've both as clients and as friends and as coaches. I know a lot of coaches. I've never had a coach until you who went through documents that when you say, oh, you're working on this, and we're all working on different things at different times, which is what I love. And because then I learn from other people too. But like, I was working on an offer, and you were like, well, send it to me. And okay. And you're not just going to tell me a few things about it. No, you looked at it and went through it, and even I think used it in a session and went through things. And I remember you going through other people's offers and showing them things. And we've talked about podcasts. As so many people talk about so many different things that they're doing, because we're all at different levels and we have different directions and we have different fields. And it's fascinating to learn from everybody, because we can all use all those things. Even if we think right now, I'm never going to use this, the next day, something comes up. It might not be the exact same thing, but something comes up that came out of that conversation that helps me every single time. I mean, I sat in a lot of meetings also as a teacher where I felt like I'm not learning a thing in here. And I even later in my career when I would say, if I learn one thing, I still might not. But every time in your sessions, I learn something every single time, usually several things. Plus, it's not just business coaching, the healing sessions. Oh my God, the healing sessions are so incredible and so powerful. And it seems like every time that you do a healing session, which is every other week, we're all saying, that's exactly what I needed. It's amazing how that works. And I love it. It's the best community I've been in. And, you know, if we don't show, if we can't be there for whatever reason, like we have another appointment, the recording's coming. It's better to be there in person, definitely. But I think it's just fantastic. You have built such a wonderful thing and you're creating this entire movement. And I think that's part of it too. We all feel like we're part of this movement. We are part of this movement. We are part of it. And so we're healing everybody. I love it. We're healing the whole world.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
Thank you so much for your beautiful words. I really, really loved it. I always wanted to have a community where we come together, support each other, learn from each other, and grow our businesses together. And that's why I built this movement called Healing Millions. Because let's be honest, it's a not one person job. It's like we need to do it together, and we can only do it if we collaborate with each other and support each other and grow as a community. Thank you so much for the beautiful words. Isabel, you're part of my amazing community, Healing Millions. For someone who is thinking about joining Healing Millions, but it's not sure if this is the right community for them, what would you say to them?
Go for it and try it. You don't have anything to lose, first of all. And it is a beautiful community of people. Yes, we are all healers, but we are all very different. And I enjoy that we share maybe one big vision that is to live what is your gift, so your purpose, and share that with the world. And so that's a beautiful community. And I'm very thankful for Nina to have created this movement of Healing Millions, because it's probably also a community of co-creators and of supporters and not of competition at all. That's what is healing all about, I think.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing this with our community. And I would love to know your thoughts. What would you say to someone who is looking to join Healing Millions community?
Oh, by far, it's totally worth it. Nina, you made me the person I am today in my business. I was just going to create my course that I'm creating, offer that to the world, and just leave it at that. But you actually encouraged me to branch out and help people in a way bigger way, and I'm forever thankful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yole, you recently joined Healing Millions community. And what would you say to someone who is looking to join this amazing community?
Well, the reason I joined it was because I just love this mix of energy healing and business, because for the most part of my life, I thought these are two different things. And I always have problems with the business side, not the healing side. And I think you do such a good job in showing all of us that they're not separate things necessarily. And that being a healer doesn't mean that or you're interested in these things doesn't mean you cannot be a business person. And that was so inspiring to me. And also that aspect of being in a community with other engaged and powerful healers that really want to build. What I'm also interested in is, spread the word, do something, move. It's just wonderful for me. It helps me to stay centered and have accountability and, proceed with what I want to do rather than to being on my own, every day trying to motivate myself just by being me. So
thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for being the part of Healing Millions community. I feel so blessed and honored to walk this path with you. And, this is my dream coming true. As Dr. Beverly said, never forget your dreams. And this was my dream when I was 16 years old. I wanted to build a company that makes not only income, but it makes an impact. That was for me that I wanted to have. And Healing Millions is the company I always wanted to have. It was all about advertising agency marketing, but now it makes sense for me to have a healing and marketing together, because we cannot heal if nobody knows about us. And this is why I love it. And thank you so much for being part of this amazing community. Before we wrap up this interview, I would love to know if you could share, Dr. Beverly, let's start with you, how people can connect with you.
Well, one easy way is to go on Amazon and get the book, which, by the way, has exercises at the end of every chapter. Really simple. That'll get you started right away. The other way is I am on Facebook and LinkedIn, and there are not very many Beverly Wixons out there. I've searched myself, so I know I'm easy to find. It's Wixon. Trust me, you will find me.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We will also add your notes in the description. Please feel free to connect with Dr. Beverly. She has an amazing program, Manifest Your First or Next 10K. And Dr. Beverly, thank you so much for doing an amazing work in this world. And thank you for joining Healing Millions movement.
Thank you.
Yole, how can people connect with you and start working with you?
Yeah, right. Thank you. You can find me on LinkedIn and you can find me on Instagram. So on Instagram, you would have to look for Yole Bucellati only. And you can find me on my website, and you can find all my offerings on my website if you go to Pathways. And let me think. I think that's the best way to connect with me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your light with the world. And I just want to say, you have such a beautiful website, and it's all created by you using your artistic skills. Could you share how can people connect with you and share your website so they can come and see what you're doing? And you have an amazing event coming soon. Yeah, share more about that.
True. I have a free event. It's a live meditation for world peace. It's this Sunday, June 22nd. And otherwise, yes, annapashanti.com is my website. And in a couple weeks, you'll be able to find my new course that I'm going to put up there as well. So, yeah, looking forward to really hearing from people. I love hearing from people, and I love hearing how they experience the meditations that I lead, because our free meditation for world peace, it's not only kind of giving to the world, it's also healing inside. So it should be a powerful experience.
Yeah, thank you so much. I believe peace starts within us, and we can only give to the people what we have inside of us. Thank you so much for doing an amazing work in this world. If you have a chance to connect with Anne, she has amazing meditations. You will love her voice. And if you can, join this amazing event. And her course is all about healing yourself through meditations and breath work, and really tuning into your body to see what is out of alignment and start healing parts of you. Thank you, Anne, for doing an amazing work in this world. Thank you for being part of Healing Millions community. And
thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We will have all your notes in description below for people who want to connect with you. But if people want to connect with you, how they can find you? What is the best way to connect with you?
The best way to connect with me is probably either through LinkedIn or through Instagram. Yeah, that is probably the fastest and easiest. And then you can also book a free exploration call through my Calendly link on my website. So it's all going to be in the show notes if I get it right. Yes.
Thank you so much for being here. And for my audience, everybody who's watching or listening, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and supporting these amazing women. I hope you will connect with them. Please do that. You can find their links in the description below, so make sure to connect with them. They're really amazing. They're true inspiration, and they are doing so much good in this world. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for the world. Thank you for the work you do. If this episode inspired you, moved you, touched you in any ways, please share it with your friends and family members. Let's inspire them. So let's help them heal, and let's help heal millions. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, be brave, shine your light, because the world needs that love and light inside of you more than ever. I'm sending you lots of love and big hug. Bye for now. My gorgeous friend, I hope you love this episode. If you learned something that is helpful for your business, I would really love to hear from you. Could you spend 30 seconds of your time, go to the Apple Podcast and leave me a 5-star review? This is the only way you can thank me and let me know how much you love this podcast. I love hearing from you. If you have friends who need help with their coaching businesses, share this episode with them and help them grow their business too. Thank you for listening to She Runs the Business podcast. Please share your gifts with the world. Keep shining your light because the world does need that love and light inside of you more than ever. I'm sending you lots of love and big hug.